It's time for Wave 3 Listens Live on Kentuckiana's first live local TV talk show, all hosted by John Ramsey. This is Wave 3 Listens Live.
And welcome to the Wednesday edition of Wave 3 Listens Live. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, and we're going to talk about something I think everyone's excited about. You know, today is the last day of school in Jefferson County Public Schools, so we're going to talk about summer experiences. Everyone's about family memories, and we're going to make some today. We're going to talk about how you can enjoy Indiana Caverns, Holiday World and Splash and Safari, and how you can win a trip to Chicago. We'll talk about that. And how would you like to win tickets to Holiday World and Splash and Safari? It's all going to happen on this show. My very first guest is the Marketing and Communications Director at Indiana Caverns. Carol Groves is here. Now, Carol, I have to admit, I am totally fascinated by what you do. Caverns, Indiana Caverns. From what I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it was first discovered in 2010,
That's
is that right?
Less than 3 years ago, first time any humans ever went into this part of the cave.
You know, to me, when I think caverns, I think prehistoric, I think old. So what took so long? They just didn't discover these caverns? What happened?
It was a long trip back there. Actually, when they got in, they crawled for 4 hours in water, deep water, and in wearing wetsuits. So it was a very hard trip. That's just to get there. Then you had to turn around and crawl 4 hours back out. So that was the barrier that kept people away. Very tight spaces.
You know, as we know, we have some of the most, most fascinating, most interesting, most historic caves in this area than anywhere in the country.
Right.
You're looking at Indiana, you're looking at the Brinkley Caverns, you're looking at Mammoth Cave here in Kentucky. What is it about this area that is so conducive to really beautiful caves? What is that?
Well, it's the limestone, thick hundreds and hundreds of feet of limestone, and then also the fact that unlike most of Indiana, which was glaciated, and the limestone's there and the caves are there, but it's got glacier material on top of it. This pie-shaped piece of southern Indiana that extends into Kentucky, the limestone's at the surface and the water's been able to dissolve caves out below the surface. All
right, once again, Indiana Caverns. So, Carol, if you would, tell me what separates Indiana Caverns from maybe your average everyday cave experience.
Well, I don't know if there's an average everyday cave experience, but there's every cave offers something unique.
Sure.
But one of the great things about ours that we are sure people will enjoy is a boat ride. On an underground river. People love that, but you also get a wide variety. There's walking, there's heights. When you first enter the cave, you come in at the top of an 85-foot high room. You immediately see a waterfall, and then you go down to the level where the boat ride is. Along the way, probably the most unusual thing that we have is the Ice Age animal bones that were found there.
You know, everyone thinks of, especially if you have kids or grandchildren, you know, the Ice Age cartoons. There's something that really is just, I think, to everyone that is very endearing about the Ice Age. With that being said, Indiana Caverns is unique in that there really is an Ice Age experience, right?
There is, and we had no idea. When the cave was discovered in 2010 and they entered this big room where the visitors will first come in, they named that room Big Bone Mountain, that day, because they saw there were bones laying everywhere. But the cavers assumed those were like cows and pigs and horses, that maybe farmers had, put animals down in a sinkhole and the bones washed in. It wasn't until last July when we had a paleontologist come in, once there was an entrance and he didn't have to crawl 4 hours, he immediately looked around and said, these are Ice Age animal remains, at least 12,000 years old, and possibly 30 to 35,000 years old.
Carol, now that is exciting. So this is not only an experience for people who love caves and the fascination of a cave, but this is somewhat of a history lesson for kids, right?
Absolutely, and an adventure.
Yeah, tell me what else can you do? I like caves, but I like it that it's cool. I think people are naturally curious about what life below the earth. So not only can you discover all those things, but in Indiana Caverns you have other experiences as well.
Right. There's history, there's mystery, there's exploration. It's a great experience for families and all ages as well.
Now you have a special personal tie we were talking about. Your brother.
Correct.
Now he's a splunker from way back. Now was he one of them who discovered Indiana Caverns, or is he just one who has explored Indiana Caverns?
He has been exploring in the Brinkley Cave system since the late 60s. He and a group of friends called the Indiana Speleological Society, and they made huge discoveries and got it up to like 22 miles. And then everybody got kind of busy with families and jobs and things in the 90s, and things kind of slacked off. So he thought, before everybody that was involved passes away, I'm going to write a book of all of our adventures. And he published his book in 2009, and that got a whole new generation, sparked their interest. They picked up where he had left off, and then they made the discovery into the part that's now Indiana Caverns.
Interesting. So you do have a personal connection and probably much more knowledge than any of us. I think that's pretty obvious here. So your brother, it's his birthday.
It's his birthday today.
Wow, pretty cool, pretty cool.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about, you and your brother, of course, are very familiar with what's on the table. I am not. Help me out. First of all, this looks like some kind of it looks like a coal miner's helmet to me. Is that similar too?
It's, I don't know a lot about coal mining, but it's a cave exploring helmet, and it has a light on it that has all kinds of settings that can be used. And this one's very muddy because this has been used since last June by our development team. The guys, just a handful of people that are in the cave 5 days a week, putting in the pathways and fixing it ready for visitors. So they let me borrow this today. But it's the same as what a cave explorer would wear. They go in.
It looks like that's had a little bit of use.
It has a few dings. I see a few rock marks there and a whole lot of mud.
You know, I would be willing to bet that there are, hopefully, I know they're letting kids out early today from Jefferson County Public Schools. They're watching this and they're going, I want to go to Indiana Caverns. And there's another reason too. We talked about Ice Age bones. You have some.
I do.
That is cool.
Now, you cannot take bones out of the cave. They would disintegrate. This has been treated by the staff at the Indiana State Museum with preservatives. This is the bones from a juvenile bison, an Ice Age bison, the only bison ever found in a cave in Indiana. And they know it's a juvenile because if it was an adult, these bones would be fused. But you can see they're not. The entire bison is there in the cave with the exception of the skull. But the teeth are all there, and this is one of his molar teeth.
Wow, that is interesting. As I said, what an experience for kiddos. Okay, for those who are not familiar with Indiana Caverns, you mentioned the relationship with Brinkley Caverns. What is the tie-in with Brinkley?
Well, the Binkley Cave System, which is under Corydon, Indiana, it's been known about since the late 50s. It's the longest cave in Indiana at 36 miles and growing.
It's like the 11th largest in the world.
And the 11th longest in the United States, and it's in the top 50 worldwide. And Indiana Caverns has been connected to the Binkley Cave System.
Very cool. All right, now for those who would like to visit, first of all, you tell us in your words, how do you get there?
Oh, that is so easy. It's definitely the closest cave to Louisville, only 25 minutes from any of the bridges in Louisville. Head west on I-64 like you're going to Corydon, Indiana. Get off at exit 105, take a left down 135, and it's about 3 minutes from the interstate.
Okay,
very easy.
For mom and dad, and they're wondering, they're wanting to make sure they get the time schedule down. How long is the tour?
The tour is going to be about an hour and 20 minutes.
Perfect.
And that includes a video, a pre-tour video, before you actually go into the cave.
Fascinating stuff. It sounds like that's a great day.
Yeah.
Short little trip. You're going to feel like you totally escaped a whole different world, literally, a different world than what we live in. That's for sure.
And there's a lot of other things to do in the area too.
All right, we're going to throw it up here real quickly. Indiana Caverns. Let me put the information up on the screen. Carol, you have been great information. Thank you very much.
John.
Carol Groves, happy birthday to your brother.
All right, I'll tell him.
Carol Groves, once again, the Director of Marketing and Communication at Indiana Caverns. All right, coming up. Holiday World and Splash and Safari. That's next on Wave 3 Listens.